Some random woman is claiming her kid is my half-brother to steal from my late dad's estate. It's literally impossible, and I just want to make her pay for this greedy stunt and leave us alone. Hey everyone, I need to vent this out because it's been eating me up for months, and I can't talk about it with many people without it turning into even more family drama or awkward stares at work. I'm 42M, living in a mid-sized city in California, working as a project manager for a construction firm. You know, the kind of job where I'm overseeing commercial builds, reviewing blueprints in the mornings, coordinating with subcontractors during site visits, and dealing with budget overruns by evening. It's demanding but pays well, and it's kept me grounded through tough times. My dad passed away 6 months ago from complications after a long battle with heart disease. He was 68, a retired mechanic who'd work his ass off fixing cars at the same shop for 40 years, building a decent life for us. A modest house in the suburbs, some savings accounts, a small rental property that brought an extra income, and a portfolio of stocks totaling around $800,000. He didn't have a will, so everything's going through probate to be split equally between me, my sister, 40F, and our mom, 65F, under California's intestate laws. We've been handling it quietly, grieving in our own ways. Mom tending to her garden more, my sister throwing herself into her nursing job, and me burying myself in work projects to avoid thinking about the empty chair at family dinners. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, this woman, let's call her Karen, 38F, shows up claiming her 10-year-old son is my dad's secret love child, which would make him my half-brother and entitled to a share of the estate. She first contacted our family lawyer with a dramatic email, then started bombarding me directly through LinkedIn and personal email with what she called proof, some grainy old photos of her and my dad from 12 years ago at a local bar where he used to grab beers after work, a birth certificate for a kid with no father listed, and a tear-jerker story about a brief but passionate affair during one of dad's supposed work trips out of town. She's demanding we do DNA tests, give her son at least 25% of the estate as his rightful inheritance, and even retroactive child support payments to cover years of hardship. The whole thing is enraging because it's literally impossible. Dad had a vasectomy right after my sister was born. We have the medical records from his urologist to prove it, and he was always open about it with the family, joking that 2 kids were plenty. Plus, the timelines don't add up at all. During the period she claims the affair happened, Dad was home recovering from knee surgery with hospital bills, physical therapy notes, and family photos for barbecues showing he couldn't even drive, let alone travel or sneak around. Mom's confirmed 100 times that he never cheated. They were high school sweethearts with a solid marriage, the kind where they still held hands on walks. Karen's clearly just a gold digger who probably Googled Dad's obituary. It mentioned the estate vaguely, and cooked up this scam for easy money, maybe inspired by those trashy TV shows about hidden heirs. My family's completely split on how to handle it. Mom wants to ignore her entirely and let the probate process weed it out naturally, saying any attention gives her power. My sister thinks we should confront her head-on to scare her off before it escalates. But our uncle, Mom's brother, 67M, keeps saying just pay her a little something to go away to avoid the stress, especially on Mom's blood pressure. I've been losing sleep over it, snapping at my team during morning stand-ups, and replaying angry scenarios in my head during commutes. It's not just about the money she'd siphon off. It's the disrespect to Dad's memory, turning his hard-earned legacy into some con artist's payday. How do people deal with frauds like this without losing their minds? I just want to make this woman pay for the emotional hell she's putting us through and vanish from our lives. Then over, I guess. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest. Update 1. Wow. Thanks for all the supportive comments. Reading through them, a lot of you shared similar stories of inheritance scams or family frauds, and it really made me feel less isolated in this mess. It also gave me some practical ideas, like documenting everything meticulously. A few days after my original post, Karen escalated things by sending a certified letter to our family home, addressed directly to Mom, with even more so-called evidence. Blurry printouts of emails that were supposedly from Dad, but the email address was wrong, and the language didn't sound like him at all, and a formal demand for a sit-down meeting to discuss her son's future. She claimed the kid deserves to know his family roots, and threatened to go public on social media or even local news if we didn't start negotiating a settlement. I was absolutely furious when Mom called me in tears to read it over the phone. Dad's only been gone half a year, and this stranger is turning his death into a cash grab opportunity. I talked it over with my sister that evening at her apartment over takeout pizza. She had pulled up some online searches on Karen, revealing a history of small claims lawsuits, like suing ex-boyfriends for unpaid loans that courts dismissed as fabricated. Mom was shaken up, sitting in her living room, crying about how this whole thing taints Dad's legacy and make her question if she really knew him, even though we all know it's bogus. My uncle dropped by the next day, suggesting over coffee that we offer Karen $5,000 as a nuisance payment to sign a waiver and disappear, arguing that fighting it would be too draining emotionally and financially. I refused point blank, saying why the hell should we reward a liar who's probably done this to other grieving families? Work was rough that week. I botched a site inspection report from all the distraction, mixing up material specs, and getting chewed out by my boss in a team meeting, which left me fuming in my truck afterward. That night, I decided to respond. On advice from commenter here, I emailed Karen back politely but firmly, stating her claims were baseless and demanding she cease all contact, while attaching redacted copies of Dad's vasectomy records and surgery timelines as proof. She replied within hours, calling me heartless and in denial, and insisting she'd prove it in court if necessary. The family dinner that weekend at Mom's was tense as hell. My sister backed my hardline stance, sharing printouts of Karen's shady lawsuit history, but Mom worried aloud about the stress triggering her anxiety attacks. Uncle pushed his settlement idea again, but I shut it down, saying it'd just encourage more scammers. I've started a folder of all communications and records, feeling a bit more empowered, but still exhausted from the constant what-ifs running through my mind. This woman Stunt is messing with my head big time. I just want her gone for good. Update 2. Reddit, your encouragement to document every detail and avoid direct engagement really helped guide me. Things got even messy, but I'm starting to push back harder. About a week after my email confrontation, Karen took it to the next level by filing an official petition in the local probate court, claiming her son as Dad's unrecognized heir under California's intestate succession rules for half-siblings. She attached sworn affidavits from a couple of witnesses who turned out to be her roommates, based on quick social media checks, swearing they'd seen the affair unfold, and she demanded a court-ordered paternity test, even suggesting exhuming Dad's remains if needed, which is creepy and invasive as hell. Our family lawyer, who we've had since the probate started, laughed it off when I forwarded the filing, but said we'd need to respond formally with a motion to dismiss to avoid any delays. I met with him in his cluttered office downtown the next morning. He reviewed the timelines, Dad's medical documents, and even pulled public records of Dad's travel, or lack thereof, during the alleged period, estimating it'd cost us at least $2,000 in initial fees just to counter it. My sister and I confronted Mom about the update over lunch at her favorite old-school diner. Mom admitted she vaguely remembered Karen from years ago as a bartender at Dad's regular spot, but insisted nothing romantic ever happened. Dad would come home and tell stories about the characters there, including her, but that was it. Uncle called later that day, pushing once more for a quick settlement, saying it's cheaper than a drawn-out fight and better for everyone's peace of mind. But my sister snapped back over speakerphone, calling it straight-up extortion and reminding him of Karen's lawsuit history. Work gave me some flexible hours after I confided in my supervisor about a family legal emergency, but I still zoned out during a virtual team call, missing a key deadline on a permit application and having to scramble to fix it. Karen didn't stop at the filing. She started posting vaguely on her Facebook about fighting for my son's rightful inheritance from a family in denial, tagging local community groups, and even some mutual connections from Dad's old shop. Friends and former colleagues alerted me, and it spread like wildfire to our social circles. I got awkward messages from high school buddies asking if there was any truth to the rumors. I felt humiliated and exposed, like our private grief was now public spectacle. That evening, I had our lawyer draft and send a formal cease and desist letter to Karen, warning her of potential defamation claims if she kept spreading these lies online or elsewhere. She emailed back defiantly, accusing us of covering up the truth and upping her demand to $50,000 to make it all go away. The family group chat blew up that night. Mom wanted to pull back for her health, but my sister dove deeper into online research, finding Karen was buried in debt from bad real estate flips and credit card bills. I'm more determined than ever to make her regret this. No way does she walk away without consequences for the pain she's caused. Update 3. Following Karen's court filing and Update 2, revelations started coming fast and furious, turning this from an annoying hassle into something downright infuriating, but also arming us with the tools to fight back effectively. Encouraged by more comments here, my sister and I decided to hire a private investigator. It cost $1,500, which we split from our savings, to dig into Karen's background thoroughly. The PI's report, delivered a week later via email with attached docs, was pure gold. Karen had no genuine connection to Dad beyond possibly serving him a drink or two at that bar over a decade ago. The photos she provided were poorly photoshopped. The metadata showed they were edited recently, with mismatched timestamps, and her witnesses were actually roommates with their own criminal records for petty fraud like check kiting. Even better, the PI uncovered that Karen had pulled similar stunts before, claiming inheritance rights from a distant relative in Nevada a few years back, only to settle out of court for a small payout when evidence mounted against her. We immediately shared the report with our lawyer, who started prepping a countersuit for malicious prosecution, emotional distress, and fraud, estimating we could seek damages for the stress and costs. I confronted my uncle about it during a tense phone call from my office parking lot after work. He admitted he was just trying to protect Mom from more heartache, but finally agreed Karen was a full-blown con artist after I read him key parts of the report. Mom broke down at our next family brunch at her house, surrounded by Dad's old photo albums, saying she felt violated by how these lies were tarnishing his name and making her relive doubts she never had. She finally came around to supporting a full fight, even contributing to the legal fund from her savings. Work hit a rough patch with the added stress. I developed migraines from the late nights reviewing docs, taking a sick day to rest and journal my thoughts, which helped process the anger. Karen upped the ante big time by showing up unannounced at Mom's house one afternoon, her kid in tow, knocking insistently and begging through the door for a private talk about family bonds and what's fair. Mom called me in a panic from inside. I rushed over from a nearby job site, phone recording the whole encounter, which is legal here for one-party consent. In the footage, Karen rambled about her hard life before admitting on tape that she might have exaggerated some details but really needed the money for her son's future. I told her flatly to leave the property immediately or we'd call the police for trespassing, and she stormed off cursing under her breath. It was a huge turning point, solid evidence of her scam in her own words. Extended family got wind through Mom's updates. A cousin who works in law enforcement offered to testify about Dad's upstanding character if needed. The court hearing is scheduled for next month, and I'm gearing up to make her pay, both in fees and reputation. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about stopping her from preying on other families. Update 4. 8 months since Karen's outrageous claim first surfaced, and through our grieving process into chaos, the entire saga is finally over, and it feels like a hard-won mix of justice and closure with a satisfying side of relief. The court hearing played out like a bad movie with a good ending. Our lawyer presented the PI's detailed report, Dad's ironclad medical records, the forged photo analysis, and my audio recording of Karen's doorstep confession. The judge dismissed her petition on the spot, labeling it frivolous, baseless, and indicative of bad faith intent. He ordered her to reimburse our full legal fees, which had ballooned to $15,000 with all the motions, and issued a permanent no-contact order, warning that any further harassment could lead to contempt charges or worse. We didn't stop at the dismissal. Riding the momentum, we filed a separate small claims suit for defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, winning $10,000 in damages after demonstrating how her social media posts and false claims had caused us tangible harm, like my work performance dips and Mom's anxiety flare-ups. We even included doctor notes. Karen tried to appeal the rulings, but dropped it quickly when her budget lawyer bailed, citing her inconsistent stories and mounting evidence against her. It turns out she was in even deeper financial trouble than we knew, with liens on her car and eviction notices. The judgments pushed her into filing for bankruptcy, and last we heard from the PI's follow-up, she'd moved out of state with her son to live with relatives, effectively vanishing from our lives. Family dynamics have healed in meaningful ways. Mom hosted a low-key memorial barbecue for Dad at the house, where we all toasted his memory with his favorite beers, sharing stories without the dark cloud of Karen's lies hanging over us. My uncle pulled me aside to apologize sincerely for pushing the settlement idea, admitting he'd underestimated the scam's depth, and my sister and I grew closer than ever, bonding over late-night strategy sessions that turned into laughs about Dad's quirky habits. Work stabilized too. The promotion I got mid-drama led to leading a major downtown build, and I even took a well-deserved vacation to the coast, hiking trails and reflecting on how far we've come. This whole woman's greedy stunt taught me that grief can attract vultures, but standing firm and gathering evidence exposes them for what they are. Fighting back not only made her go away, but ensured she paid a real price, protecting others in the process. If someone's trying to scam your family's hard-earned legacy, don't back down. It can lead to the closure you deserve. Reddit, your vents, shared experiences, and words of encouragement kept me sane through the anger and doubt.